Hello, cooking enthusiasts. This week's video contains some somewhat disturbing butchering, if you couldn't tell by the title. So this is your warning. Now, this is a charcuterie project I've wanted to do for quite some time. It was mainly inspired by a video from Primetime where they take an entire pig head, lightly cured it, and then cooked it and roasted it like a porchetta. So still charcuterie, but more of a light curing process, and again, a flavor profile that's more on the lines of roasted pork. What I wanted to do, and what I still haven't specifically seen yet, is taking the concept of deboning the whole pig face and treating it like a more hard cured charcuterie similar to pancetta or guanciale. Essentially a hybrid of those two classic Italian cured meats, because the guanciale is generally just the pig cheek that's cured and air dried pretty simply, and the pancetta is the pork belly that's usually spiced with pepper and juniper, among other things. So my process is going to be like a pancetta, but the material is going to be both pork cheeks as well as all of the remaining meat on the face. There are several reasons I wanted to try this. One, just because it was pretty hardcore and kind of cool. The second reason is that the meat on the face is particularly delicious in my experience. And the final reason is that pork head is cheap. This entire 12-pound pig head was $12, and obviously a lot of that is the skull. So even at only a 50% yield, which we did pretty much get, you're still looking at $2 per pound for something that is pretty close to pork belly, but I would argue even tastes a little bit better. And it's not like the skull goes to waste either. Even if you were just buying bones to make stock, $1 a pound would be a decent price. We didn't turn this skull into pork stock because a few weeks ago we got a pig head that ended up being too small to turn into pancetta. So we already have a big batch of pork stock made from a pig head. Of course, the only downside of the pig head is that it takes a little bit of time and skill to actually butcher in this way. The butchers in my city actually wouldn't process it for us. I do really like the porchetta video from Primetime, as I mentioned, but if you actually want a more detailed guide for deboning the pig head, I will link a different video that we used in the video description. The butchering video will be the second link in the description because, of course, the first link will be my ongoing fermentation Kickstarter. Please feel free to check that out, contribute, and share that if you find it interesting. But truly, the butchering of the pig head was really not that bad. My dad obviously isn't an amateur, but he's also not a professional, and we found it pretty easy to do with some good instructions. It's also obviously essential that you have a good sharp knife and also one with some flexibility to it. Once we had the entire face off of the pig skull, it needed a little bit of trimming. There are some glands that are relatively obviously different from the meat that you want to trim off, and also trim off the ears. Then it was time to apply the cure. I'll put my exact recipe on screen right now, but the important ratio is 2.5% salt by weight and 0.25% curing salt number 1. Also went with the classic black pepper and juniper, as well as some dried fennel, which isn't essential, but sort of references back to that porchetta. I also used some honey powder instead of just a little regular sugar, just because I had bought it ages ago and wanted to use it. And also, the salt I was using was actually a pepper flavored salt I had attempted to make, but didn't really work out. But it should still work as regular salt. Now, as of recording this video, the pancetta is still in the initial curing phase, just in a Tupperware container in the fridge. This is an equilibrium cure, so I'm essentially waiting for pretty much all of that salt to become absorbed into the meat. After about 2 weeks, the excess spices are going to be rinsed off. It's going to be patted dry, and a little extra black pepper is going to be ground on. Then it will be trimmed to become more of a perfect rectangle. Maybe remove some of the skin and rolled up. Once it's rolled up, it's going to be left open in the fridge with some additional air circulation and monitoring the humidity to start drawing out some of the moisture. Once it's been a few weeks in that setup, I'll keep an eye on the moisture loss and the pancetta will be done. You can be sure I'll be making a follow-up video once the pancetta is complete and I can taste it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about this project or charcuterie in general, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thank you for watching.